Hi everybody, this is Dan from Crest Educational, and today instead of talking about ACT and SAT prep, I'm going to talk about middle school math, specifically two-digit multiplication, using both the old school stack method and the relatively newer box method. Now I say it's relatively newer, but it turns out it's been around forever. And in fact, it may be helping students who are in middle school prepare themselves for when they do more advanced algebra in 9th or 10th grade. Now, parents have been complaining about the box method because it seems like an alien life form. It takes something that didn't need to be fixed and it attempts to fix it. Now, I want to give a problem that's very simple that can illustrate all of these concerns. If I take two simple numbers, 18 and 12, multiplying them by the stack method, all I would be doing is 8 times 2, 2 times 1, adding the 1, then using this placeholder, which apparently nobody was ever taught what it means, and then I multiply the 18 by 1, pop it down here, and I add these two products, and the sum of those two products is the answer. Now this is what most of the parents out there have learned as the old school method. And all we're doing here is we are using basic distributive property. And if you recall distribution, all you're doing is you're taking your 18, putting it here, and then multiplying it by the sum of 10 and 2, because 12 is nothing more than 10 plus 2. Now, kids who are coming home with homework where they're using the box method, and parents are seeing this sometimes for the first time. And what they see is that the 18 has also been broken down the same way. So instead of the 18, we have 10 and 8. And instead of the 12, we have 10 and 2. And all we're going to do is essentially the same thing, but we're actually using a slightly more advanced technique, which comes to be known as the FOIL method. What we're really doing is we're saying this is 10 plus 8 times 10 plus 2. And anybody who's taken an algebra course and done the FOIL method would see this no differently than they would see this problem. So let's go ahead and do this. Our first terms would be 10 and 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 2 is 20, and this 10 times this 8 is 80, and 2 times 8 is 16. Now look what happens when I add these up. I can add them either going vertically or horizontally, but to show you how similar these techniques are, I'll go horizontally. 100 plus 80, 180. 20 plus 16, 36. Gee, look familiar? Your answer is going to be exactly the same. So just to prove to you how this is the FOIL method, I'll use sort of an orange-red color. Okay? If I do the FOIL method, what I'm doing is I'm taking my first terms, my outer terms, and my inner terms, and then my last terms, and I'm multiplying them all independently and adding them up. So in the case where we're using the variable x instead of the 10, any algebra student would recognize this and say x times x is x squared. Our outer terms, x and 2, multiply to give us 2x. Our inner terms, 8 and x, multiply to give us 8x, and our last terms would be 16. And what we've done is we've given ourselves the product of binomials, which is x squared. I can combine these terms, plus 10x, plus 16. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how that comes out the same way, just by putting the 10s in for the x's. So x squared, if that was 10 squared, plus 10 times 10, plus 16. Then we'd have 100 plus 100 plus 16 equals 216. So in a sense, parents, I hate to say it, but you need to be happy when you see your students coming home with this box or grid method, because what it's doing truly is preparing them for procedures and processes that they're going to do later on in algebra. And if you think about it, most of us, when we learned this distribution method, the stack method, nobody explained to us, for example, what that 0 was. We just knew that we needed it as a placeholder, but nobody explained that it simply represented that tens place. Or to be fair to all of my teachers, it probably was explained, but just like today's students, we weren't paying attention. So try to keep that in mind when your kid is struggling with either of these methods.